my dear brothers and sisters in Christ. Yesterday, the Orthodox Church celebrated their Christmas on the Feast of the Epiphany. We too, as Catholics, in some countries also celebrate on the 6th of January, the Feast of Epiphany. But for us, in some countries, we have decided to celebrate tomorrow or this evening, the Feast of Epiphany. Whether it's Christmas or whether it's Epiphany, it means to say that God has revealed himself to this world, to us all. Epiphany means the manifestation of God, not just to the Jews, but to the Gentiles. And that is why the three magi were there at the scene. At Christmas, we remember that God revealed himself in that baby Jesus. And the angels were sent to announce the good news, not to King Herod, not to the courts, not even to the priests, the institutions, but to the poor shepherds, uncouth, uncivilized, marginalized in society. And these were the people that God has chosen to reveal the great news of the coming of the Savior. These preferential options for those who are considered the outcasts of society, these are the people that God specially came for, including the Gentiles who were also considered outcast by the Jews. And so today, as we come here for this Thanksgiving Mass, for Caritas, for Caritas, for all the humanitarian organizations under the church, truly we want to give thanks to God. But more importantly, I think having the Mass at the very beginning of the year must help us to set the right direction in how and what we are called to do as members involved in humanitarian organizations. Today, the scripture readings provide us very beautiful, insightful clues and principles as to how we should carry out this responsibility that has been given to us. I think right from the start, we must be very clear of our calling. Although we are humanitarian organizations, I must always make it clear to you all, we are not NGOs. We are Catholic humanitarian organizations. The motive in us, driving us what we are doing, is not just a humanitarian response to the needs of the suffering, to the poor. Of course, that is certainly included. But the ultimate reason in doing what we are doing is simply this: to reveal the good news, to reveal the glory of God in man. That is what the incarnation is all about. That God has become man. And therefore, every man, every woman is our brother, is our sister, and also the brothers and sisters of Christ. So, what we are called to do, every time when you do any good, you must ask yourself, are you revealing the glory of God to those people that you are serving? If you fail to let these people see the face of God in you, then you have failed. You have failed as a Catholic humanitarian organization. And that is why it's very important for us to ask ourselves, how then do we reveal the glory of God? Just as Jesus revealed himself to us, especially to the poor, to the marginalized. And we too because we are called to let people see the glory of God in us. And it is so beautiful that in today's gospel, at the end of the gospel, we are told this was the first of the signs given by Jesus. It was given at Cana in Galilee. He let his glory be seen, and his disciples believed in him. How are we going to get people to believe in Jesus, to know Jesus, unless the glory of God is seen in us through the works that we do? How do we therefore make sure that the glory of God is revealed in and through us? What would be the sign, in other words, that we are called to give to those we are serving? The first sign in today's gospel tells us is attentiveness. We must be attentive to those people that we are serving. It is not just serving in a very impersonal way, and that's the danger for corporate organization. They are just digits, they are just numbers. We lack that personal touch, that personal attention to those that we are serving. They are just cases. They are not people for us. That is the danger. And today in the gospel, we have Mary, who was attentive to the needs of the couple, the wedding couple. Most of us in a wedding will be so much enjoying ourselves, absorbed in our revelry. I don't think we will be attentive to those who are in need. Not for Mary. Mary was always paying attention to those who were in need. And Mary knew that this couple, the wine was running out. That is the kind of attentiveness. And so too, for us in humanitarian organizations, we have to ask ourselves how attentive we are to the sufferings of people. And I can tell you honestly, for me as a bishop, my fear, and I make sure it doesn't happen, is that I am not in touch with the people's aspiration, problems, and sufferings. That is why Pope Francis says you need to go down to the ground. You need to be the battlefield before you can make decisions. And those of us who are board of directors, those of us who are on top, make sure you are attentive. Don't run the board as if you are running a corporate organization. You need to be personally attentive. Secondly, we also note the sensitivity of Mary. It's a wedding couple. And they were running out of wine. They would be embarrassed. And they were busy entertaining the guests. Mary did not go and tell the couple, hey, hello, your wine running out. Mary was sensitive. Quietly, without the couple's knowledge, she went about to elevate the situation. And she was respectful of the couple's dignity, save the couple from embarrassment, and also make sure that the guests have enough to celebrate. Being sensitive is important. And I think for us in humanitarian organizations, we need to be sensitive, especially when we are serving the poor. The poor has their dignity. We must always be careful that we don't have a condescending attitude, as if we are the have, they are the have-nots. And so I am dishing out the plenty that I have. Your plenty does not belong to you. Your plenty belongs to God. You are just only a messenger. You are just a medium. Those things that you give out don't belong to you. And so, respecting, being sensitive to those people that we are serving, that when we serve them, we must actually elevate their dignity. We must not make them feel as if they are second class. As far as I'm concerned, he is a brother, he's a sister, he's a man, a woman like any one of us. And that is why it is important that in humanitarian organization, being sensitive, that we do not use the poor to glorify ourselves. We don't use the poor to make our organizations feel great. That is not the purpose. We serve the poor sincerely because we want to show them the face of God, that His love for them is unconditional and merciful. Thirdly, when we want to help others, again, Mary has taught us a beautiful lesson. Recognize our limitations. We are not gods. We can't attend to every situation. There will always be poor among us. That is what the Lord said. And therefore, we must never think we can do everything. We cannot. And that is why Mary, in her helplessness, she turned to the Lord. Mary knew this situation, she would not be able to help. And so too, as members of humanitarian organizations, we too need to recognize our limitations. Your capacity to help the poor, to help those who are suffering, to help those who are in need, can never be accomplished by you alone. That is why we have Caritas. That's why we have Caritas. Affiliate of different organizations serving the different needs of our people. We are complementing each other. There should never be any competition among us. No competition. Competition is for your glory or for your organization's glory. It is not for the glory of God. But here we want to help fellow organizations how we can best serve those who are in need, according to the needs that they require. We will direct them accordingly to those different organizations. And that is why I also said we need to grow the number of organizations in Caritas, in Caritas, because there are so many kinds of needs that we cannot attend to. Not all of you can attend to. So we need to create. We need to encourage. We need to promote. Those of you who are in a particular organization, maybe the Lord calls you like Mother Teresa to start another order, to start another organization. God bless you, if you are called. That's good. You don't have to be stuck with the organization for the rest of your life. Because if the Lord calls you, but not out of anger, out of resentment, oh, I don't like to know this fella, I will start the new one to challenge. That's a different story. We are talking about serving different needs. Fourthly, what else we can learn from today's gospel? We need to recognize that we relied on the grace of God. At the end of the day, it is the grace of God that can help us to what we call do what we are doing. That is why in today's first reading, St. John tells us we are quite confident that if we ask the Son of God for anything, and it is in accordance with His will, He will hear us. And knowing that whatever we may ask, He hears us, we know we have already been granted what we asked of Him. We need to pray. It's not just enough to work. Because this is not our work, this is the work of God. It's not human ingenuity and strategy alone. It is the work of God. We need to pray. We need to ask the Lord to show us the way, to send us the people to help us. On our own, we cannot. That is why those organizations, if you are struggling with membership, ask the Lord, did you pray? Did you fast? You have not fasted, you have not prayed. No, of course, no members. Nobody is going to join you. If you have fasted, if you have prayed, the Lord will certainly attract people to join your group. Why? Because when they see you as the glory of God, they say, I too want to join them. We are all attracted by glory, attracted by bright lights, glittering. Ladies like to wear glittering things. Attracted. Your task is to attract members, not push members. You don't drive members. We attract people to join us because of the kind of spirit that we have. And therefore, sometimes if your group is not having enough members, perhaps you are not shining out the glory of God among yourselves, among the teams, among volunteers. If the volunteers and the team, they are fighting and they're arguing all the time, no one wants to join you. But if it's truly a brotherly, sisterly community, very supportive, very encouraging, that group will grow. We want to belong to a group that is nurturing, that is empowering, that is enriching. We don't want to join a group that is always fighting. That one will not give us life. And if you cannot find life, how can you give life to others? You cannot. Another point, again, perhaps we can learn from the gospel, is that if we want to serve the poor, then we need to inconvenience ourselves. You know, when Mary told Jesus they have no wine, Jesus said, "Woman, why turn to me? My hour has not come yet." It's not the time for him to reveal his glory, he is saying. At the cross. And anyway, no, it's not your time. You don't be kepo. This is not your time yet. You wait at the cross. I will tell you, behold your mother. Be patient. And Jesus inconvenienced himself to perform the first sign that anticipate his glory. And we too. You know, if we want to serve people, it means a lot of inconvenience. If you want to have a clear-cut 9-to-5 job, I don't think you should be in a Humanitarian organization because people don't get sick between 9 to 5. So while it is important for organizations to have set of rules, set of policies, certainly. But let me remind you, Sabbath is made for men, not men for the Sabbath. Policies that we create establish good for governance. But I think you need to have the wisdom to be flexible. Yeah, we have to be a welcoming group. We have to be hospitable. We have to be accommodating. Of course, rules are important for order, for governance, for security, for safety. But we need to break the rules at times. But this is where wisdom comes in, prudence. The Lord breaks the law for the greater good. That is so important. And at the end of the day also, let me tell you, that when we are serving the poor, even if we have given them all their physical and material needs, it's not good enough. What is the ultimate goal? You know, as we all have said, and we all know very well, there are some who are really poor, not because of their own irresponsibility, not because of their inability, refusal to cooperate. There are many, however, they are poor because they are lazy, irresponsible, they don't want to manage their life, they come from wounded families, they are broken, they come from a hostile environment, and they cannot get out of the trap. As humanitarian organizations, it is not enough just to keep on supplying. Our task is to help them to develop morally, spiritually, and as a person. So many are wounded, many are broken. In other words, to help a person means to ensure that there is integral development. And some of these, as St. John, again in today's first reading tells us, if your brother commits a sin, he has not only to pray, but we need to really help them. And he said, children, be on your guard against false gods. So many of our so-called beneficiaries, they just they seem to be irresponsible, but actually, most of the time it's because they've been conditioned into it. That kind of environment has made them given up hope. And you are called to inspire hope. You're called to give them the way, how to walk, how to live a meaningful and purposeful life. And if you have not done that, I think again, it's a failure. It's just like, remember Boys Town? Boys Town, the boys brought to the institution, many of them come from very broken family. But Boys Town gave them meaning, purpose, formation. And when they go out, they return to serve society and the church. That is our goal. So if we have not helped them to live, to become independent, and to be life-giving at the end, then again, in that sense, we have not done a good job. Yes, we might have helped them materially, but we have not really helped them. So that is our goal. That is our goal. And finally, that is not all. There's one more point. In helping these people, at the end of the day, what we want to do? We must give them Jesus. That's why not only so your purpose as members of the Catholic Humanitarian organizations is to give them a deep faith in Jesus. Not in a forcible manner, not in a coercive manner, but after some time, if there's an opportunity for you to proclaim the word, to share the word, to share how Jesus has touched your life, please use your prudence, do so. Otherwise, you have given them everything except Jesus. Well, the giver of gifts, he never gives. You give them all the gifts. We must give them Jesus. If they have Jesus, they will know how to live their life meaningfully, purposefully. And even if they are sick, they will use their sickness to glorify God, to pray for you all. And if they have legs and hands and able to work, if they find a purpose in life, they will give their life wholeheartedly. Give them Jesus. If you fail to give them Jesus, you have failed to give them, lead them to the source of life. And last but not least, I just want to say something. You know, in humanitarian organizations, we need to have unity. And so it's very important. Obedience to legitimate authority is essential for the unity of the organization. When Mary came to Jesus, Jesus said, hello, not my time. And Mary says, do whatever he tells you. Doing God's will is, at the end of the day, the most important thing. As members of humanitarian organization, you need to ask yourself, what is God's will for you, for your organization? Unless we do God's will, we will end up doing our will. It becomes an ambition. It becomes what we call a division. We seek to do only God's will. And very often, God's will are expressed through legitimate authority. Often, not all the time, but often. But most of the time, we should, therefore, have trust in those legitimately appointed people. And if there are some issues, and those of us who are appointed, then let me tell you, you have a grave responsibility, more than all the other members, answerable to God. Because of you, because you have been complacent, because you have not been responsible, a lot of poor people suffer because of your incompetence. Then you have a grave responsibility to answer to God, not just to men. And so it's important that when we assume office, for those of us who assume office, we are accountable to God to see whether we have done our best, done the right thing, the good thing, the just things, according to the will of God. I do this as a bishop, and I hope you will do it for yourself. Do it to the will of God. Do whatever he tells you. And if that is happening, then the responsorial psalm, so beautiful. They say, sing a new song to the Lord. Let us praise his name with dancing. And when people see us, they say, wow, wow, Jesus is here again. Sometimes baby Jesus, sometimes big Jesus. But all the same, they see Jesus in us. Amen.